The cassette recorder crackled with static. Then a whisper slipped through the speaker. Clear. Cold. "He's not in the barn." Martin Vance froze, his finger hovering over the pause button. Rain hammered against the roof of their Ford LTD. The windshield wipers dragged across the glass, barely keeping up with the storm. Beside him, Eleanor tightened her grip on the steering wheel. Ahead of them stood the gable farmhouse, dark, silent, rotting. The porch light flickered once, twice, then died completely. Martin slowly rewound the cassette. The tape clicked. The whisper returned, exactly the same. "He's not in the barn." Eleanor exhaled slowly. That could be radio interference, but Martin knew better. The microphone had been sitting on the kitchen table inside that farmhouse. No radios, no neighbors, nothing for miles. Which meant only one thing. Something inside that house had spoken. They had driven 3 hours from Boston for the case. Miriam Gable, 52, widow, living alone in a farmhouse surrounded by empty fields and thick forest. According to her letter, something in the house whispered at night and watched her. The front door creaked open. A thin woman stepped onto the porch. Silver hair, hollow eyes. Rain pooled around her feet. "You shouldn't have come at night," she called through the storm. "It talks louder when it's dark." Then she stepped back inside. The door slammed shut. Inside, the farmhouse smelled like damp wood and dead roses. Miriam sat at the kitchen table, her hands trembling around a cup of cold tea. "It started 2 weeks ago," she whispered. "I hear my son calling from the hallway." Martin looked up. "Your son?" "He died 5 years ago." Her voice cracked. "Car went through the ice on Ashmoor Lake. Him and my husband, both." Eleanor wrote quietly in her notebook. "Have you seen anything?" she asked. Miriam hesitated, then slowly nodded. "Yes." She glanced toward the staircase. A woman standing in the upstairs window. Martin leaned forward. "A ghost?" Miriam shook her head. Slowly. "No." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Something wearing grief, like a mask." That night, Martin and Eleanor set up their recording equipment in the guest room. The reel-to-reel recorder hummed softly beside the bed. The farmhouse was silent. Too silent. At 2:17 a.m., the recorder clicked. A sound came through the speaker. A soft giggle. A child's voice. "You're cold." Eleanor sat upright instantly. That wasn't on the tape. Martin rewound the recording, played it again. The giggle echoed through the speaker. Perfectly recorded. Something had spoken inside the room. A floorboard creaked in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. Martin moved quietly to the door. He knelt and looked through the keyhole. The hallway was completely dark. Then he saw it. A pale finger slowly dragging down the wood on the other side of the door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. The finger slid out of view, and the scratching sound moved slowly down the hallway, like something crawling away. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the candle flame turned blue. The temperature dropped violently, and a sound filled the barn. Hundreds of voices whispering at once. Miriam suddenly collapsed beside the hole, screaming. She began clawing at the dirt, trying to dig the horse back up. Behind her, a gray shape slowly formed, a woman in a long dress. But the face was Miriam's. "You don't understand," the voice whispered from everywhere. "We are the remembering. We are the grief that stays behind." Miriam's eyes turned completely black. The house needs a widow. Martin grabbed the shovel, not to strike her, but to finish the burial. He shoveled dirt back into the hole. Faster, harder, packing the earth down. The voices rose into a screaming storm. Then suddenly, silence. The cold vanished. The barn felt normal again. In the center of the dirt floor, a single white rose had grown from the soil, its petals covered in frost. Miriam stopped crying. She stared at the flower peacefully. "It's fed," she whispered. "It has its widow now." She slowly stood. "I'm staying." Then she walked slowly back toward the farmhouse. Martin and Eleanor left that night. They packed their equipment without speaking. As they drove down the dark road, Eleanor stared out the rain-covered window. "We failed," Martin whispered. "We survived," she replied. In the rearview mirror, the farmhouse grew smaller. One light glowed in the upstairs window. A woman stood there watching them leave. She slowly raised her hand and waved. For a moment, Martin thought he saw another shape beside her. Smaller, a child, standing perfectly still, its head tilted too far to the side. Then the road curved, and the house disappeared into darkness. 3 weeks later, Martin reviewed the final tape recording from Ashmoor. The tape hissed softly. Static filled the room. Then the whisper returned. Clear. Cold. "He's not in the barn anymore." Martin slowly turned off the recorder, because behind the whisper, he could hear footsteps, moving slowly down the hallway, inside his house.